The golden age of American muscle represents a pinnacle of automotive history, defined by big block V8s, roaring exhausts, and the visceral thrill of straight-line speed. For many enthusiasts, owning a piece of this 1960s dream is the ultimate collecting goal. However, the classic car market of 2025 is a landscape fraught with peril for the uninformed buyer. 20th, 1965 to 1968 Plymouth Fury 3 base engines. The Plymouth Fury 3 was marketed as a comfortable, spacious full-size automobile possessing the imposing dimensions of a muscle car, but none of its performance credentials. In its most common forms, it was a muscle car in size only. The standard engine options were a 3.7-liter, 225-inch slant 6, producing a meager 145 horsepower, or a 5.2-liter, 318-inch V8 that offered a slightly more respectable but still underwhelming 230 HP. For a vehicle of its substantial weight and size, these power plants were woefully inadequate for anything resembling spirited driving. While more potent engines like the 383-inch V8 were available, the vast majority of Fury 3s sold were equipped with these base power plants, making them the most common and least desirable versions found on the market today. The collector market has passed harsh judgment on these models. Data from Hagerty for 2025 shows a 1965 Fury 3 convertible with the base 318 V8 valued at a mere $14,500 in number 3 good condition, with a further 20% deduction for the 6-cylinder version. Recent auction results confirm this lack of interest, with one 1965 example selling for just $9,975. The verdict is clear. The base engine Fury 3 is a land yacht masquerading as a performance car, offering all the drawbacks of a large 60s automobile: poor handling, terrible fuel economy, and difficult parking, with none of the straight-line excitement. 19th, 1966 AMC Rebel base V8. American Motors Corporation designed the Rebel as its contender against mainstream intermediates like the Chevrolet Chevelle, but it was an exercise in automotive mediocrity. The optional 4.7-liter, 287-cubic-inch V8 produced only 200 HP, which was simply not competitive with its rivals from the Big Three. The standard engine was an even less inspiring 232-inch 6-cylinder with just 155 HP. Compounding its performance deficit was a design that was described as relatively dull, lacking any of the visual aggression or flair needed to stand out in the crowded marketplace. As a product of a defunct manufacturer, the Rebel suffers from the orphan brand curse. While some specialist suppliers exist, finding specific trim and mechanical parts can be a significant challenge, and the cost of restoring an unpopular model will almost certainly exceed its market value. Hagerty valuation data for the Rebel is sparse, a reflection of its obscurity. But related models like the 1966 Marlin, which shared the same platform and engines, are valued at only $14,233 in number 3 condition. This indicates a very soft and uninterested market. The Rebel is a forgettable car that is neither powerful nor attractive, promising a restoration project filled with frustration and zero financial or performance payoff. 18. 1968 Pontiac Tempest base models. The Tempest name is inextricably linked to the GTO, the car that ignited the muscle car era. However, a base model 1968 Tempest is not a GTO. It is a prime example of the base model trap, sharing the GTO's handsome sheet metal but none of its performance soul. For 1968, the entire GM A-body line was restyled with a curvy Coke bottle shape, giving the base Tempest the same sexy silhouette as its legendary sibling. The illusion of performance ends there. The standard engine was a 250 cubic inch overhead cam inline 6 that produced 175 HP. The base V8 option was a 350 cubic inch two-barrel V8, making only 265 HP. These figures are a world away from the GTO's standard 350 HP, 400 cubic inch V8. The market reflects this performance chasm with a colossal value gap. A 1968 Pontiac Le Mans, a slightly more upscale version of the Tempest, equipped with the base V8, is valued by Hagerty at just $10,200. In stark contrast, a base 1968 GTO starts at $21,900 and climbs rapidly with better options. Purchasing a base Tempest is buying the name, not the car. It offers the GTO's good looks, but none of its substance, making it a classic automotive tease. 17. 1967 Chevrolet Camaro, base 6-cylinder. The 1967 Chevrolet Camaro is a certified automotive icon, but the legend was built on the V8-powered SS and Z28 models, not the 6-cylinder base version. This entry-level model was created to compete with the volume-selling 6-cylinder Mustangs and was in essence a stylish commuter car. The standard engine was a 230 cubic inch inline 6 with a mere 140 HP, with an optional 250 cubic inch version offering a marginal increase to 155 HP. Performance was lethargic, with a documented 0 to 60 time of 12.5 seconds, making it dangerously slow in modern traffic. These cars are deceptively affordable, with average prices hovering around $22,500, a figure that reflects their complete lack of performance credentials. The value difference between the 6-cylinder and V8 models is staggering. Hagerty data shows a base V8 Camaro coupe valued around $23,500, but a desirable Z28 or big block SS can easily command 3 to 4 times that amount. A significant 30% value deduction is typically applied for the 6-cylinder models, making them a poor investment. A 6-cylinder first-generation Camaro is a beautiful but deeply frustrating car to own in 2025. And the cost of a proper V8 conversion is a financial mistake. 16. 1966 Ford Mustang, base 6-cylinder. The original pony car is an American icon, but in its base form, it was an underpowered secretary's car that created a segment the true muscle cars would soon come to dominate. The standard engine was a 200 CI inline 6, producing a meager 120 horsepower. This engine, while durable, was known for being anemic and notoriously difficult to modify for increased performance due to its integral log-style intake manifold, which was cast as part of the cylinder head. Purists and market experts correctly argue that these Falcon-based 6-cylinder cars are pony cars, not muscle cars, as they lack the big block power that defines the genre. The market valuation reflects this distinction. A 3-condition 6-cylinder coupe is valued by Hagerty at just $16,400, while a V8-powered fastback from the same year is valued at nearly 3 times that amount at $49,000. Common ownership problems include chronic starting issues, carburetor and distributor woes, and a general lack of power that makes highway driving a chore. The most popular classic car in the world is also one of the most overrated in its base form. It is a stylish and historic vehicle that is ultimately a disappointment to drive. The Misfits, Flawed by Design. This group consists of the automotive misfits and oddballs. These are cars that, due to bizarre styling choices, compromised engineering, or simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time, never found a successful niche. They were often the result of a corporate strategy to hastily enter the lucrative muscle car market without investing in a dedicated platform. This almost car phenomenon resulted in vehicles that were fundamentally compromised. Models like the Ford Falcon Sprint, Buick Wildcat,
and Mercury Comet Cyclone were essentially existing family or compact cars, dressed up with sporty trim, bucket seats, and a mid-range V8. This half-measure strategy created cars that lacked the cohesive, aggressive styling and purpose-built performance engineering of true muscle cars like the Pontiac GTO or Dodge Charger. The market's reaction, both in the 1960s and today, demonstrates that this approach was a failure in the passion-driven muscle car segment. These cars never sold as well as their purpose-built rivals, and their collector values remained significantly lower. In a market defined by peak performance and authentic identity, these almost cars were perceived as cynical marketing exercises and have been penalized by collectors ever since.